Sometimes, if you force gratitude, it can backfire spectacularly. It can make you feel isolated and guilty or even completely invalidated. You all know how much I hate comparisonitis. I'm always harping on the fact that you cannot compare yourself to someone else's highlight reel on the internet. But guess what? It goes the other way too. Just because you have it better than so many other people in the world doesn't invalidate your struggles and your pain and your feelings. So today we're going to talk about how and why a gratitude practice might actually be harmful to your mental health. Now, don't get me wrong, I am all for finding reasons to smile, especially on those days where everything seems to be falling apart. We've all heard that gratitude is supposed to shift your mindset and improve your overall well-being. In fact, there's an entire industry built around the idea of starting your day with 3 things that you're grateful for. And while that may work great for some people, there is mounting evidence that a gratitude practice is not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. Imagine you wake up after a long, sleepless, stressful night. Your to-do list is a mile long and your brain is still pretty much in a sleep fog. And now you're supposed to take a minute to write down 3 things that you're grateful for? What probably often happens to you in that state is that you can't even find one thing to be grateful for. And then the pressure starts building and you start berating yourself. How can I not even find one thing to be grateful for? And you just know everyone else out there is writing beautiful lists of all the random crap that they are so happy to have in their lives. And that, my friends, is the first domino, and it's going to fall into a cascade of self-judgment and guilt. Listen, science tells us that gratitude does have its place in our mental health. It has been shown to boost your mood, improve your sleep, and even strengthen your relationships. But what people often fail to emphasize is that gratitude journaling, the way it's popularly practiced, can sometimes trigger something called toxic positivity. It's when the pressure to feel grateful all the time invalidates our very real, very human experience of negative emotion. Instead of processing stress and processing pain, you're urged to just kind of gloss over it. And in doing so, you might end up suppressing feelings and emotions that need to be felt, that need to be unpacked and dealt with. For example, let's say that you're having a super rough day at work. Your boss is being a total asshat, you're behind on a deadline for a project, and the coffee machine just broke. But instead of addressing those stressors, you might follow some guru's advice and write down things like, oh, I'm so grateful for my comfy chair. Look how it swivels. Oh, that makes me so happy. Or you might say, I'm grateful for this coffee that I had to buy for $7 because I couldn't use the K-cup machine in the office. And when you do that, it feels completely disconnected from your current reality. Not to mention, it's utterly disingenuous, which defeats the purpose in the first place. When forced gratitude does not fit the way you're actually feeling inside, it's going to create cognitive dissonance, a mental clash between the truth and what you're trying to convince yourself of. And this dissonance leads to feelings of inadequacy and guilt. So instead of being a tool for healing and for mental health, gratitude journaling just morphs itself into another form of stress. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but we've all been sold the line that gratitude is supposed to make us happier. Even more so if we buy an influencer's gratitude journal, am I right? And yes, gratitude can make us feel happier, but only when it's authentic. And authentic gratitude flows naturally. It's not something that has to be forced. So when you start doing it, just because What's or Nuts on that productivity podcast told you that it's the only way to make your morning routine kick your ass into a better version of yourself, that's not helping anybody. When we overprescribe gratitude, we risk dismissing our real feelings. It's like when someone tells you, stop being sad and be happy instead. Oh, well, let me just flip that switch, Monica. Emotions are messy. They are complex. And sometimes they need to be experienced fully, not bottled up and twisted into a gratitude list. Our brains are wired to seek reward. I've talked about that a lot on this channel, especially if you have ADHD. You're constantly chasing the dopamine hit. And gratitude is one of the ways that you can get a gratitude hit. But when that practice becomes mechanical, when it becomes disingenuous, your dopamine reward starts to shrink. And before you know it, it's just another chore on your never-ending to-do list. So what can we do if gratitude journaling just isn't working? First, it's okay to recognize that we need to feel the full spectrum of human emotion. If you're having a bad day, acknowledge it. Validating your feelings is a way bigger part of mental health than a gratitude list. It might help to think of it like this. Gratitude works best when it's balanced with self-compassion. Instead of punishing yourself for not feeling grateful enough, whatever that is, tell yourself, today is hard, and that's okay. I'm doing my best, and I will find gratitude when it is appropriate for me. When you combine self-compassion with gratitude, you create a space where positive and negative emotions can coexist together. If you get nothing else out of this video, please take this with you. Feeling negative or having a bad day doesn't make you ungrateful, nor does it make you a failure. In fact, it's a sign that you are human. Your struggles, your pain, your anger, they all matter, and they're part of your story. A story that is complex and rich and completely yours. Embracing that complexity means acknowledging that it's okay not to be okay. Sometimes you have to sit with your discomfort. You have to let it be. And then you have to naturally and organically let the idea of gratitude come when it's appropriate to do so, when it's authentic. When you find yourself belly laughing with a friend and suddenly, oh my goodness, I am grateful. It will happen, but you have to let everything else happen too. So if your gratitude practice is adding pressure instead of easing it, it's okay to step back. It's okay to do what feels right, even if that means skipping your gratitude journal for a while. So what do we do instead? How do we go forward without gratitude, but without sinking into a mental hellscape? Well, number one, acknowledge your feelings. It is okay not to feel grateful all the time. Recognize when you're trying to force yourself into a positive mindset and take a step back. Number two, reframe your practice. Instead of the strict 3 things I'm grateful for list, ask yourself, what small moment brought me joy today? And it can be as small as a line from a TV show that made you laugh. Number 3, practice mindfulness. Acknowledge your feelings when they come up. If you are angry, it is okay to sit with that anger. Try not to lash out at other people if you can, but sometimes we can't. Our emotions are just raw dogging it in there, so sometimes stuff gets out, and that's fine. If you are sad, if you are in pain, if you are hurt, sit with that. Don't try to gloss over it. Don't try to shove it aside with thoughts that, oh, well, if I just think happy thoughts, everything will be better. No, everything will be better when you learn to acknowledge and work through your actual emotions instead of trying to turn them into something else all the time. Number 4, cultivate self-compassion. Treat yourself with the kindness and understanding and respect that you would treat a friend if they came to you in pain. Stop beating yourself up for not being happy, not being chipper, not being grateful every moment of every day. And number 5, find your own rhythm. Experiment with different methods of a gratitude practice. Maybe you'll find one that feels authentic and feels natural, and maybe you won't. And that's okay too. I would like to thank the Rebel family members who suggested that I look into this topic. The rabbit hole that I went down in the scientific journals, and it was really difficult to contain this video and not go off on like brain science because it was fascinating, and I will be reading even more into gratitude harming mental health because it is more fascinating than how gratitude helps your mental health, to be honest. So I want to thank you for suggesting that I look into why a gratitude practice may not be the best idea for everyone. Good on you. Thank you. And I hope that anyone watching that has struggled with a gratitude practice in the past feels a little bit better about letting it go. Because some of us were not wired for 24/7 gratitude. Some of us are Walter Matthau and grumpy old men 24/7. And honestly, I love that journey for us. Don't forget to smash all those YouTube buttons for me and leave me a comment down below and tell me one thing you're grateful for today. Just kidding. Could you imagine? What an asshole. Seriously though, if you could just drop an emoji or something down in the comments. Every single comment that you leave on any of my videos tells YouTube that I'm like super popular, and it pushes my video out to more future members of the Rebel family. And we know we're trying to build a community here of like-minded women, so put something down there for me, please, and thank you. I love you so much. Thank you again for hanging out with me today. I hope that this helped. I hope that you had some fun, and I will see you next time. I love you.